Hey everybody, it is Paper Pumpkin time. This is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. This month's kit is the best there is, and I have not seen anything to do with this kit this month, which is always my favorite thing. Then I get to be just as surprised as you guys when you open it the first time. Misty Moonlight is our spot. I will not be opening that. We have this new style of photopolymer stamps, which require that I open and pull out all of the contents, open the box, or I should say the package, because I've already opened the box, so that we can get our artwork out and better see what the stamps say. I see some dimensionals, I see wood grain. I'm gonna grab some scissors that I have nearby. We're in May, which means we typically have Father's Day in June. So perhaps this is why I am seeing wood grain. And I bet that is the case. The back of this chipboard is typically the instructions that I don't use, because this is all about alternatives. And here is our new artwork. Indeed, Father's Day. You're the best there is. Some nice trees. Notice those are pointillism trees. With love and admiration to the most amazing person. And this stamp set does fit inside here, nestles nicely. I use sleeves, but you could also put this in a stamp case, a thin one. There we have it. And of course, happy Father's Day to you. All right, so let's see what we've got. So again, I see dimensionals. Double-sided dots, of which I stashed these for a very long time, probably 4 years, but the last few years I've been using them, and I still have some left over to use, so I have been using them on any kind of project. All right, so we have 3 of like a distressed two-tone base, front and back, with a white core, which means we can do our sanding treatment if we want to. We've got some label dies that have some stitching. Let's see what they look like. There is a stack of 2. There is one shape. So this is pretty thick. There are 4 of the hexagonal. Two of banner drop down. Four labels. Oh, and 2 more of the drop down, so a total of 4. All right, so let's get all 4 shapes. 1, 2. We'll take a look at the envelopes in a second. So 3 shapes. I see 4 of each shape. So I'm gonna put those aside. Envelopes. Looks like 9. No, not any design on the inside, but you can use the wood grain. You can decide that if you really like this wood grain, you could just take these apart and you could use the back, you can use the flap, and you can use this side. Nice. Oh, and this coordinates with, I have the DSP that has this same wood pattern to it. We have 3 of the hexagonal, which means that fits perfectly. Again, you have both sides. And we have 3 of these, and then the back side is white, which means we can still do our treatments to it. I see 3 hill tree scenes with the same pointillism style trees as the stamp set. Three more trees. There. This should be 3 of these. I will be pulling out this DSP, by the way. Definitely going to use that. And then we have this wonderful peeling paint. 3 of them, bases, front and back, white on the inside. Let's go ahead and cut these apart. Okay, so these are decorative rectangle strips. I am probably, because of how delicate these are, I am going to just do one at a time, not wanting to hurt them in any way. Yeah, be careful with these. These are very, very delicate. I am trying to carefully. So here is the misty moonlight. And remember, that's the color of our spot. Okay, there's the second one. They're all 3 a little different shaped. The green is the longest, so it is the most delicate. All right. There they are. Looks like pine and deciduous leaves, deciduous leaves. Alrighty, I'm gonna go over the coordinating colors while I have the instructions. There is a coordinating die set. It was still available. I looked at it last night, and you can only buy it if you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber. Coordinating stamp set colors: basic beige, crumb cake, early espresso, misty moonlight, pool party, and wild wheat. I will go away now. I already told you I'm going to be using the wood DSP. I will be getting that out immediately so I don't forget. And I will come back with any supplies I find interesting or any prep. I will break up this envelope and we'll show you what the pieces are that you can use. And then we will do some prep, do our mixing and matching. I always like to do at least 20 different layout possibilities for you guys to get your creative juices flowing, and then we'll be done. So stay tuned. All right, I am back. I have a bunch of supplies. This is one of those great kits that works well for me since I have a lot of men in my family. And so anytime I see wood grain, I am very happy. This does coordinate with what's called country wood. Here is some of the papers. They're all aged wood. I did the unboxing of an order with these, showing what they all look like. A couple of them are verbatim what is in the kit itself. I already showed this piece. That matches this. This is a card base cut in half, and this is what one of the 6x6s I have trimmed down looks like. So you can't go wrong with country wood. To introduce some more colors, we have these, you know, even this has some of the wild wheat, and this is one of the little leaf sprigs. There is also country lace. I figure if you have a need to do a little bit of feminizing of any of the materials, this is one sure way to do it. And it's subtle. It's not, making it ultra feminine or anything. It just softens it a little bit with these little lace type patterns. And then the back is even more neutral, should you want to just tone down the wood or just not have all of the wood for every single card. So those are added papers. This year's new trims are a lot of neutrals, so there are so many trims that can go anywhere from the polka dot, white polka dot, to sheer with silver trim. I went with, for my sample cards, I went with the basic beige trim and this iridescent trim. I just got these trims. It is striped trim. There's your basic baker's twine. It's a 5-pack. I am out of the white, but these I have gray granite, smoky slate, crumb cake, and the very vanilla that will go. The coordinating combo trim that goes with the 2 papers I just showed you is white with this lovely diagonal pattern to it, and then petal pink. So I have one really cute trim for my photography using this. So there's always the favorite, which I still have this hanging around. This is called linen thread, and it is a favorite. I like to double or triple it and make bows with it. So don't forget about the linen thread. This is what the old style packaging used to look like. For some reason, I just still hang on to it. I've gone through rolls of it, and that always is just in the bottom of my box. For embossing folders, I have Leaf Fall, Fern 3D, and then of course what I've been using to, here it is, add texture to the wood patterns is Timber 3D. You can use any of the embossing folders if you want to use the lace. There's the new lace one. I have that. I don't even remember what that's called. There's textured paint texture. You could do floral ones. Again, if you need to have it be more feminine, any of the embossing folders with flowers would help with that. Okay, so that's the box. I did a bunch of searches, so if you want to search by the word in the Stampin' Up search engine and see if you maybe have some of these items, there's the word grove will bring up a lot of trees options. Textures will bring up some good options. The word leaves and wood. The extra stamp die sets that I pulled and have cut some pieces out of, I used layering leaves, and that is mainly the sentiments. Wild ferns, I did that. There's sprigs that coordinate very close with these. Here is one sprig right here, for example. That is a nice coordinating sprig. There's 2 or 3 of them. Thoughtful expressions, I liked the die shape of the die cut. Wild ferns, I really like their sentiments, and so here are the sentiments that I took. This is from Layering Leaves, and I wanted to show how this would work. You know, you've got Father's Day, birthdays, any kind of celebration, and then it does really well with heartfelt. And I've done some photography already, and then I also chose with that Layering Leaves nice cursive, I chose the word hello. And this is a die cut from Thoughtful Expressions. So those are the added materials for bling. I did just get the industrial trinkets. I will say, being that I mail out most of my cards, the industrial trinkets, they are very 3D. They're not adhesive backed, so you can use either side of them, but they are quite heavy, so I would be careful with these if you mail your cards out. So I have sitting around here on my desk, I always have my bulk SS8 and SS6 rhinestones. You could always use those. Any sequins will work. Pearls will work. I just grabbed the trinkets for the masculine cards that I wanted to do photography of. And then this whole sheet is from one of the recent kits. So neutral sequins will work as well. We have the envelope. I promised I would take the envelope apart, so I took one apart. There are two side pieces that aren't really usable here. You know what? And my desk is like the worst possible color because it matches perfectly with this kit. So let me get this black cutting mat for you so we can actually see what we're looking at. This is the flap. It has the glue part of it. You can either cut a strip out of it however you want. This is the inside that has, when you open up the flap, there's this half moon or a shallow circle, and I like to use that when I can. And I have all this piece, you can see that I went ahead and embossed it with that Timber 3D. And then I also wanted to take, this is the back of the envelope. It is full size right now. And how I gave it the stability that it needs to actually keep its shape. This one here is smaller, so it kept its shape pretty good, but it is a little bit rippled because it's a thinner material. So I went ahead and glued it to a sheet of basic white so that it gives it the stability. And then I do have here my sanding sponge, so we can see how this would work if you wanted to get some texture going. Oops. And this is the exact same sanding block that I bought at the Dollar Tree before I left 4 years ago from my home base at my mom's house. In fact, I think I've even used it here for some projects that we've had. I've taken this off, and then I always keep this to put it back on so that my hands have something to grip. And you can use it to rough up the edges. So you've got 9 of these, and then you can make all of these extra wood pieces. So if you don't have enough wood DSP, just use the envelopes. Here's all your pieces you can get from them, and then you don't have to buy any more DSP. You've got enough wood to do, like 30 cards, as long as you've got your regular white envelopes. So there's that treatment. And then I did with one of the bases, this lighter base. I actually got something on it. I don't know what that is. It feels like it's Versamark, I believe. So for me to make that work, I might have to take some early espresso with a sponge and sponge on this. And then again, I can rough this up with the leaf fall. I could have put the early espresso on, but it's very likely that where that spot is that now you can't really see anymore, I could just as easily put on sentiment, a label. I went ahead, because I do have the textured wood, I went ahead and on a piece of basic beige, I stamped this trunk, a tree trunk cut horizontally, and then cut it out with my Fiskars, my craft knife that I have. So this piece, I got inspiration for this because of the circles with the trees, and thought, well, you only have 3 of these circles with trees, so this gives you more opportunity to have like a circular shape. And that could go on there and cover that up. And then you can put a Happy Father's Day and end up with a very nice simple card for Father's Day. Using these pieces, there's these sprigs. One of the things I would suggest with the sprigs is to go ahead. I noticed that they're a certain size, so I immediately cut my sprig in half. Not necessarily to get more sprigs out of it, because I still would use 2 pieces. It's for the ability to have them spread out more. I just found that just having the circle separating them, I wanted them to stretch further than what their natural shape is. So since I am seeing that I am putting together a card without even thinking about it, there you go with a very simple card. You could take this base and trim it down a little bit to be able to have matting. And we're going to get into the 3, or actually the 2 pieces that we were given in a minute. Let me make sure that I've gone through all of my various pieces for added supplies. And I do think I have. So if I get rid of this, I'm going to be using that black mat depending on the different layouts that I do. So here is a good idea of a layout for you to consider. And if I take this away, I have a lot of my little pieces that I use to raise things up already utilized. So let me grab this. I just want to show you that you can have this tree, the trees. It doesn't have to be that a circle, and then you could have Happy Father's Day. You could take all of these pieces off of this is a card base. It's it looks like it's just a soft pattern. But if you wanted to put it on something dark, I've just been using the brown as a mat, but I wanted to give you ideas that you can just mix these around. You could have cut the leaf fall here on the early espresso, and you could maybe take white craft and run craft to get some white leaves falling. So as you can see, we are flowing right into the layouts. Now I have one thing interesting to say. So I haven't really felt that with this new way of doing the photopolymer stamps, I haven't felt that the quality of the stamping has changed from my recollection before, when they had the black art inked onto the acrylic. But I noticed today, I have not owned my ink pads very long, maybe less than a year. I probably got them a year last year. By June, I think I had them. So the full-size ink pads, I have the Misty Moonlight ink pad, this full-size one. And I have been, for every kit, I have been not opening the spot. So that's what I did today, is I went and grabbed my Misty Moonlight. These letters are a very bold font. The Father's Day, the word Father's Day, and the best. So here's what I discovered, and I'm not sure exactly why, but I'm just full disclosure. I was having a hard time with that Stampin' pad, the full-size pad, getting a good stamped image. I believe that here are the 2 images. I actually have 3. These are the images that I stamped, and I have, of course, Misty Moonlight. This is a spot that is 6 years old. Well, as old as Misty Moonlight, because Misty Moonlight was current, it went away, and now it's back. So this is my original Misty Moonlight, and while it was retired, it sat stuffed in a cabinet in the hot and the cold in our trailer. And now I brought it out today. I had already moved it from the retired back into my current little cases that I use. And out of frustration, and I didn't want to open this one, I brought this guy out, and here is what it stamps like. So if you do have issues with your full-size pad, I'm going to say, and you try to do like I do and don't open your Misty Moonlight spot, open your spot, because it works perfectly. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I don't really know if there's any difference in the plastic. I will say that if I do have any issues with stamping, which does happen sometimes, that's when I always go to my Versamark and I put my Versamark on the stamp itself, and then I did that today where I put Versamark on and then stamped it with the full-size pad, and I still could not get these to stamp right. So if you guys have your own experiences with the full-size pads, having issues using full-size pads with the Paper Pumpkin kits, let me know, because this is my first kit that I actually was frustrated enough to pull out my spot. And the spot is, no pun intended, spot on. So that's with that. Now let's do some more layouts. I did textured timber in the direction, so there's a grain going horizontal. So that's my only tip, I think, for using Timber 3D. Here is another one. I hope I can get you guys to see the texture. Is that I went ahead, since it's a 6x6 embossing folder, you can make sure that your knots and your grain go along with the grain direction of like the envelopes like I did. I went ahead and did it directionally sideways to match. So that's something. And I didn't actually do a texture on the herringbone multiple colored panel. So let's talk about the panels now. We've talked about the bases. Cut them in half. Go ahead and get your sanding block out and go to town and have fun. Dress them all up. You get 9, so you're going to get 18 bases turned into 18 card fronts. So the first design that I played with that immediately came to mind when I pulled this out is I wanted to know what size it was. It is absolutely quite small, so you don't have to trim it down. It actually is incrementally, a half an inch all the way around, smaller. So what I did, the first thing I did with it, because it just told me that it needed to be done, I cut it into pieces. So after I cut it into pieces, well, before I cut it into pieces, I really wanted to get some white put on it. So I went ahead and white heat embossed the trees from the stamp set. And I'm not going to stamp, I have been doing some basic stamping on white almost every kit. So I am going to instead work on some other things for this kit. But you've got a tree, well, 2 trees. Here's what they look like. 2 nice trees, and there's what the heat embossing, they're pointillized, so with little dots, which make perfect heat embossed images. And so I did that in white. And then on the top, I did Happy Father's Day. So there's all these pieces. Then I really wanted these birds. I wanted white birds. And I'm like, I don't even know. I'm not really very familiar with the new catalog because it's new and I don't have a lot of the new pieces, new stamp sets specifically. So I've already retired a whole bunch of stamp sets into my retired to be sold pile. So rather than try to hunt around and find birds, because you see 3 birds here, I do have floating around on my desk 2 embossing pens. And I don't know if Stampin' Up! Has ever had the embossing pens, but these embossing pens, one's a brush, one's a bullet. They sit around here on my desk just like that, with my Wink of Stella and my Jelly Roll White and my Jelly Roll Shimmer Stardust. So I grabbed the bullet one, and all I did was draw 3 birds, put some white heat emboss powder on them when I did the Happy Father's Day, and boom, that's how it turned out. So that is a really quick way to get birds. Use an embossing pen. So then I took these pieces and I started playing around, and I have photography already of this. Oh, and then I found a cloud on my desk. This is probably a retired cloud. And again, I know that I have like a cloud, like a rainy day cloud. I can't remember what it's called, but those clouds are really big. There may or may not be small enough clouds for that. This cloud, I think, just retired, and it's from one of the ship sets. I don't even think it's Waves of Inspiration. It's bigger than that, because here's its other little piece. So I'm going to go ahead and use these. I need to make 2 Father's Day cards, and so I'm kind of thinking about cards that I can make to give to the father figures in my life. And let's go ahead and do this for now. So I envision that for at least one of them, I will probably do something with this layout, where I take my I made it into kind of a jigsaw puzzle, and I will pop up. Now, I did not do a good job. This is the one thing that there's this little loop here that I didn't see because I've got the white, so you'll have to pardon the fact that I missed that. But if I were to do a pieced together card, and I was even thinking, and I have some photography of this already, that I would move out these pieces a bit, make them purposefully offset. And then I told you that I had this cute, the white with the herringbone pattern. Looks kind of masculine to me. In many cases, I wouldn't use a trim at all, but I think that that is a nice masculine looking card. I do have to watch my weight. These are going to be sent, but if I don't have an issue with weight or thickness, I could put these on. I probably wouldn't want to put it on the top of one of the raised up elements, and I don't know with the size that these are. I really like this particular white nestled right where it is, so perhaps just like that will work. But I really liked the idea of this card, so there is already photography for that. And the Father's Day with the Versamark, see how it's really crisp. So I still am not sure why the Misty Moonlight new juicy ink pad was just too juicy, and I could not get it to be crisp at all. Like, this is just like perfectly crisp. So let's say we take this and we're going to, you could actually keep it as simple as that. There is no reason why it needs any embellishing, I don't think. I think it's just a very nice simple card with the wood grain. I think that looks just perfectly fine. And then simplifying it even more, if I didn't want, maybe I didn't have the heat embossing powder, it would be really nice to just have the Happy Father's Day here, make that little trim piece a smaller V, and let's say you do have some sequins and you just have white sequins. I just had them, didn't I? I don't know where I hid them. Oh, except floating around. I have lots of little embellishment bits floating around on my desk. So I'm trying to open this the tiniest bag ever. that actually has some very simple, these are classic matte dots that just retired. And look, this is how small this bag is. Isn't it cute? So I had in here these white matte dots, and they will look just perfect on here. In a way, this wood seam kind of looks like a batik, like a textile. Let's see if I have a third white in here. I see these came in 2 sizes. So here is, oops, the third white. Now I don't have a picture of this. So it's very possible that I am going to come up with some designs that aren't photographed. So I just think this is perfect. Now I want to show you, moving over to that heartfelt condolences, that I just want to show you that this would make a very nice sympathy card. We have always a difference in the colors of the white, but I don't think it's too much of a difference to worry about. Again, there's this very nice little white piece that can just tuck up in there. Move this white classic matte dot down. And I think that that works very well. So let's move along. I talked about the trunk sliced in half. If I actually put this on the early espresso, for instance, and I am going to take this one. I have one of my layouts, and it is using this trimmed up size piece of white. Now I will remove temporarily the black, and I think that you could still do some fun things with this trunk. And happy Father's Day. If you wanted to add a couple of sprigs to this, you could do that. You could add a nice simple, this is a more traditional layout, kind of. I started out with my crazy idea, and now we're getting back to some normal layouts. All right, so there's that. I'm not sure if I have a picture of this one. So there's lots of things that you can do with this piece. You could also change up what you have. If you have cut all 4 of these pieces from the 5th piece, so let's pretend that this is actually how I did it, and I just wanted to raise up a different. You can pick whichever ones of these you want to raise up. You could decide that this is going to be smooth and that you want this little mountain piece to be popped up, and then the very bottom piece that I am looking for. Let's see if I've buried it somewhere. Here it is. And so you only want like that piece raised up and then this piece raised up. And then you want to put, heartfelt condolences. So my first heartfelt condolences, if you popped that up, this up, and this up, you could keep it pretty simple and then just add some white dots or white sequins. And that would just make a nice sympathy card. Another sentiment is "you're the best there is." And again, this one is the one that I just could not get to stamp nice until I used my spot. And keep in mind, I used spots 100% of the time for 6 years while traveling. So I am definitely much more proficient at using spots than I am the ink pads. It took me forever even to figure out how to open the darn things. So we've got the You're the Best There Is. And since I've got this trimmed down, I could put just a little sprig kind of going out at an angle. Now keep in mind, aside from the sprigs, we didn't get, as far as I know, I should probably check because I didn't see any trim or any bling. So I could be completely wrong, and maybe if I didn't look deep enough into the box, but I did open the package. So I've just been working with the assumption that I didn't get any bling. So there's the You're the Best There Is. It fits perfectly on this fishtail. Now I did have to trim down the hexagonal design. I went with a vertical alignment for my use of it. And of course now I need to find my stamped sentiment, which I showed you. Here it is. So let's move these. I even have these two. These are navy dots. But those would look good if you had anything navy blue would go fine with the Misty Moonlight, I think. All right, so there is the So Happy to Celebrate You. And this is a nice enough scene, this mountain scene, that you could just stick that right on top of it. Get a couple of mats. Put a little simple bow on top. Add a sprig. Maybe put a second sprig above. And boom, you have a nice simple card. Look, I even have these two, the navy blue dots that I told you we had, that were in that teeny tiny bag. If I had a third one, we'd be set. I also love the idea of groups of 3. And I have enough pieces floating around that I can do a couple of groups of 3. Here's a rhinestone. And I think that that looks great. I hope I'm close enough for you. I think I can get closer. And now I hope I haven't messed up the focus. Okay, so there is some great ideas with this one, and I want to switch now. We're going to pretend that the falling, oh, and now I need my black thing again. It's 2 tone on tone. So the front side of this has this pattern, and you have 3 of those, and then the back is this plain, just the dark wood. So we're going to work with this. Oops. And there's a good layout. And let's see here. Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. Trying to think of a nice way. There we go. That looks perfect. Oh, we could do this. I need to try to remember that to get a picture of that. Don't forget you've got both halves of that sprig. So I could probably put a sprig right there. Oh, all of these ideas that I have not photographed yet. Okay, so I do want to get moving on to the herringbone. So I've brought out this Coastal Cabana. That is the color that's in the herringbone. And this piece is larger. These are not the same size. They're kind of like an increment of each other. See that? That would be a pretty awful, very busy mat, wouldn't it? So we're going to just not use that. Make this very nice. This is kind of a nautical looking set of DSP, and then we have here it is. First you can do the trees, and you could even do just a nice simple Happy Father's Day up here. Put a sprig, put some white dots. Whatever you've got will work. I still don't know where my sequins that I just showed you went. I do have, okay, so we have not, if I tied this knot appropriately for, this is the basic beige, I could absolutely do this and put the knot right up next to that tree and wrap the basic beige around the mats. Hopefully you can see how that would look. There we go. And we have You're the Best There Is. We could still have the trees here. Move that all down a little bit. Put this white. That white could be underneath as a tag. It could also be that you want this sprig and that, and you could put it at the 45 of the herringbone. So many ideas. So you can see that this, and I haven't even gotten to making them feminine at all. I think I'm not even going to do that, because I think for most people the feminine part is the easy part. It's the making the masculine options that is the challenge. So if you wanted to use this wild wheat, I would still recommend you cut it in half. All of these pieces I would break in half so that you can move them around more freely. And then don't forget that I mentioned that this particular sprig, which you could cut these pieces away from the L that they were put on. If I wanted to, I could. I just hate to get rid of that cute blue sprig. Just don't know if those trees is going to go with the hello. I mean, it would be by itself. And I've got my other little half of the blue sprig right here. So that works perfectly. So you can use pretty much any sentiment you want. Let's go with so happy to celebrate you. Just like that. All right, I think that I am going to call this one finished. I've got a bunch of photography ready to add at the end. I pretty much guarantee you that you're going to get as many layouts from the live part that are very different from the ones that I've already taken pictures of. So you can stop at any point and go back and find these ones that I did live to supplement the ones that I've put in the back in the showcase. So let me know what you guys thought of this kit. What did you do to make it more feminine, since I didn't even explore that part of the kit? Do all of the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and consider subscribing. And I'll be right back here next month for another alternative video. Take care and enjoy your kit.